Hello, everyone. This is the Rooftop Sports. I am joined by a very special guest. It is the Sonics RCP, known as the Rain City Pride. You may have seen him before. He's mostly on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. He provides Sonics updates and even Seattle sports updates as well. Please give him a follow when you get that opportunity. I'll provide the links in the description. But Sonics RCP, how are you doing today?
I'm feeling great. It's a great time to be a Seattle sports fan. Buzz in the city and make that even better, hopefully, really soon with the bringing back of our Seattle Sonics.
It just feels like it's the I'm not gonna say it's jinxing. I'm not saying I don't believe in like this is our year, but I'm just saying it seems like the stars are aligning pretty good because because as of now we just came off of the Mariners just one game away from the World Series. Who knows how they would have done against the Dodgers? I don't know. How about the fact that the Seahawks kicked off the year with a Super Bowl victory? Then we got some Sonics announcements happening. And then Mariners are possibly primed for another decent run for a World Series. And then we got the World Cup in the United States. Cannot miss that. And hopefully by July of 26, we could hear the words of expansion's gotten the okay. So that way we can look forward to our Seattle Supersonics. It just feels not like this is a huge knock on wood, but it just feels like the stars are aligning more than all the other years that we've had in our Seattle sports fan lives.
Yeah, 100%. I think you just mentioned the Seahawks Super Bowl. Obviously, we had a parade on I guess last Wednesday now. I think that was a showcase. We've had one before. We all know how Seattle sports fans get out, and I don't think a lot of the national media knows that. And I think now in 2026, we have the Seahawks parade showing about 1 million people out there cheering, going crazy. I think that really puts Seattle fans on notice. Hopefully, lets the NBA know that we're still here. We are passionate fans. We can sell out multiple stadiums if you wanted to build 3 more or 4 more stadiums on top of what we already have at Climate Pledge Arena. But it's truly such a great time. Kraken are also in playoff contention. Storm are always exciting, great young talent over there. The Seattle Torrent, obviously, are brand new newcomers to the city. There's just so much like pandemonium in the city. And again, it can only be that much greater if the Sonics were announced, hopefully really soon, in the next couple of months.
And hopefully that will also put an end to. There are some people out there after the Sonics left Seattle where they were like, "You guys should have supported your team better. Why do you care now?" And every time I talk to them, and I do in a very mature way, that I just tell them that, hey, we showed up. Statistics say we showed up 90% capacity, which is kind of decent. Actually, not that bad. It's just that the way and the reasonings why the Sonics left were just far beyond the fans' control. Like there was at that point, there was so many things that was just completely out of our hands. Like there's just a lot of things. There's like 10 different things that are not even related to basketball where I can say that was the reason why the Sonics left. I'll go back to my favorite one is if Paul Allen and Bill Gates got to the personal computer before Apple did, maybe they would have had the money to buy the Sonics before Barry Ackerley did in the 80s, but that's why Paul Allen ended up buying the Blazers instead. So we can go to that reason. We can go to that. We could even say if the ants, I don't know, ate our food at a different time, the Sonics would still be here. So that's what you call the butterfly effect.
Truly, I know you're bigger than me. When I go see people either online or on social media talking to me about how the Sonics never supported their fans, we don't deserve a team. And I always point to the fact our numbers were relatively low in terms of attendance numbers, but if you look at percentage of stadium filled, we were above average, top 10 about every single year. I think even top 15 in the later years. We were about to leave, or they're about to leave the city. So, and that's with a product that's like Clay Bennett was out there putting garbage out there and trading away half the stars, and behind the scenes, everyone knew what was going on. I don't think a lot of the NBA public or sports fans know what really was going on at that time about how much we were being backstabbed. I wouldn't even call it backstabbing. It was right in our faces. And Clay Bennett, I hate the man, but give him credit for putting this propaganda campaign to this day, because people still say that we don't deserve a team because we didn't fill out the stadiums back then, which is a blatant lie.
I mean, I could, man, like I said, like I could go on and on and on about which reason this reason that, but that will definitely eat up the show. And that's not what the show is about, is who is to blame or anything. But first thing I want to do is, who are you, Sonics RCP? Because we're trying to get you, because I would like to get you some more subscribers and more attention for your channel. Like your channel does great. It's just that it's hard these days to just get subscribers. Even the big ones are kind of struggling. Even I'm kind of like, man, I'm that close to 3,000. But who is Sonics RCP?
No, yeah, and again, I appreciate you having me on here. My name is Jordan. I go by Rain City Pride, Sonics RCP. I'm on just about every social media platform from, like you said, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Threads, Blue Sky, Twitter, all of the things. I started my page originally for just Seattle Sonics content. And just kind of getting the awareness out there that we're still here. And I know there's a lot of fan pages out there. Iconic Sonics is one of them. There's a lot of other pages out there, Seattle NBA fans as well, that are really trying to bring the community together. And I want to do that from like a fan perspective. I want to be kind of that fan POV, if you will, on social media, giving analysis from a fan perspective. So once the Sonics weren't officially announced last year, like I was hoping, it was kind of wishful thinking at that time. I kind of used that time to really embrace, and I've always been a Seattle sports fan through and through, from Seahawks to Mariners and everything in between, Sounders, Kraken, everybody. I took the time. The Mariners went on a run at a perfect time, going to the World Series. So I did a lot of going to a one game away from the World Series, I should say.
So close.
So close. I'm manifesting for this year, but I do a lot of kind of Seattle sports content from a fan perspective. What should we make of this stuff? And right now, and kind of my core is Seattle Sonics. What's going on behind the scenes? What does Adam Silver's statements actually mean? That's kind of where I kind of fill in that gray area. A little bit of optimism on my part, but that's kind of where I lie. I'm an optimistic fan, so that's kind of where I sit.
Yeah, and I totally appreciate your consistency on it. You're certainly more consistent than I am, because I'm more of a baseball guy. So this channel was started on baseball, but then I also saw that there was not a lot of Sonics videos being made, so that's where I stepped up. But I totally appreciated you doing the updates too, because the one time I didn't was when it was the whole NBA to Europe. And when I saw that, I took it so hard, I didn't even bother even hitting the record button saying, Adam Silver, how could you do this to us? Why Europe? What about Seattle? We need one.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I appreciate you doing all of those updates, and I'm sure everyone loves what you do. And knock on wood, once we get a team back, then we'll all be well known, and we will be the go-to guys in case if anyone doesn't want to just go to, like, I don't know, it's like the Sonics backed media or whoever it is. Like if you want to express opinions or get opinions from people like us, we will be the go-tos of the future, and Iconic Sonics, of course.
Yes, exactly. I know there's plenty of room in the Sonics family before things happen and after things happen, because once things get rolling, hopefully here soon, we're going to have the kind of that rampant fan base. Again, as we know, Seattle is a big sports city, and I feel like a lot of people are kind of tuning out the NBA until that announcement's made. So once it is made, you'll see that kind of the rampant fan base really shine again. So,
and maybe we'll get more competition. Maybe there'll be that one well-known guy. He'll get 10,000 subscribers just for opening it up without even posting a video. That could happen. So that's why we are buying in early for some Sonics content. Well, and thanks for your introduction. And now we're going to get to NBA All-Star Weekend. And I'll start this off. It did in some ways exceed my expectations, or at least it didn't really meet my expectations, because my expectations was, I think it's going to be a disaster like years past. But I did like the 3-point shooting contest. I thought that was cool. Damian Lillard, literally, who has a terrible, I think it's the Achilles injury, he just came out, showed up, and kicked some butt. And sure, I saw this one snaky Facebook post saying that Devin Booker tanked it for Lillard. But even then, you still have to go out there and shoot, and to do it with basically kind of one leg is pretty darn impressive. So I think that was pretty cool. I didn't really get much out of the Friday game, the rookies game. Didn't really get much of that, so I can't really have an opinion. The slam dunk contest, like, The way I see it, I can't be disappointed anymore. I know everyone says that it's not fun anymore, but I mean, when you're someone, when if someone's of my age, born in '92, I've kind of seen everything. Vince Carter's 360 windmill, Dwight Howard's Superman. It's kind of hard. Like when I see that next time, it's like, oh yeah, I saw that back in like 2000. So I can't really have a fair opinion. But so the slam dunk contest was disappointing, especially that guy on the Lakers. What was it, Jackson Hayes? Or I can't,
Yes,
I don't know his
Jackson
name.
Hayes. Yes.
He did that. He did like a typical dunk that anyone else would do in their backyard. And I guess I'd like to, I guess he just ran out of ideas or he just didn't know what to do, but it was enough to make it a meme, at least for that day. And then the All Star game, the format did look to be better. Like, I liked that they did World and the USA because that's what NHL has adopted to, and that worked out pretty well. So I did like that there was a lot more competition. And I even watched some other YouTubers and their opinions, and usually they just crap on the NBA. But this time they said, you know what? It wasn't so bad, but I guess the only disappointing part was when it was USA Stripes and Stars, then it's kind of seemed that they did treat it like a typical all-star game that we're used to, but still better than last year. So that is my take. I will just say there was ups and downs, but definitely better than what I've seen in the last 5 years.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think I was skeptical going into it as always, especially as someone I grew up like All Star Weekend. I would grab my buddies. We'd all go over to whoever's house it was. You'd watch All Star Weekend. You'd watch the 3 point contest, the dunk contest, and you just kind of you're hyped for the weekend. And that's more nostalgia, I think, more than anything. A lot of people say it's not as good as today, but again, the 3 point contest I think was phenomenal. I think there's not really much you can do different with a 3 point contest. You add those two almost half court shots, obviously for the 4 point shot, but it's a great contest, and with Steph Curry and Damian Lillard next year already committed for next year's 3 point contest. I think that gives an incentive to other stars across the league to step up for All Star Weekend, especially with Skills Saturday, whatever they call it nowadays. But Skills Saturday with the dunk contest and having these people, the stars step up. The youth needs to step up, and I think you saw with the All Star game. I think the youth, Anthony Edwards, you had a lot of young guys that were taking this to heart. Wembanyama, obviously a phenomenal talent. Kawhi Leonard. When Kawhi Leonard is taking it seriously, he's kind of the more nonchalant guy, but he only plays when it's serious. So when he's taking it serious, scoring 30 points in one of the mini games, it was fun to watch. And I think Adam Silver deserves a lot of credit for some of the changes that may have been controversial. I know a lot of people hated on Adam Silver before this, saying the format sucks, but I think until you see it on the court, you can't really say much about it. That's kind of how I took it, at least. But the ratings overall, they were up. I saw the stat this morning that NBC said it was higher than the last MLB All-Star Game and the NFL Pro Bowl, which, from the Pro Bowl perspective, that's always been notoriously the one that gets the most views out of any of the All-Star break. I think NHL surpassed it because I think that's the best interpretation of All-Stars anyone's done across the leagues. But so the ratings were up. Adam Silver did a lot of great things, and hopefully the youth continues to take pride in the All-Star weekend. And I think they saw a generation before them that didn't really care about the All-Star game. So having some investment in that youth is going to be important. So I personally loved it, and it's only going to get better. I think make a few changes to the dunk contest. Like you said, you can only do so many dunks, but maybe some stars added to the lineup would help that a lot.
An interesting idea I heard for the dunk contest to fix it is maybe invite a couple professional dunkers. Like there's ones that actually do it on social media. Like example was Mac McClung, a G leaguer. He's at least entertaining and he tries. So maybe that's an idea that they should explore, is to bring people that actually do this as their bread and butter. And kudos to them, because they literally risk their bodies, arguably possibly more than NBA players, when all you're doing is dunks. Like I noticed, like for example, Vince Carter and like Blake Griffin in their younger days, they were just dunking it no matter what. Like they would dunk like even if they didn't have to, and then next thing you know, they start developing injuries. So there is understanding why some players tend to be hesitant, but it is just a weekend thing, so they shouldn't live too much in fear, unless you're Jace Richardson, where he did have a little scary moment where I think he fell back on his back, and there was a split second moment of like, hey, is he okay?
Yeah, the injury concern is definitely real. It's always been that way. I think it's why LeBron never did it. I remember growing up and LeBron was kind of rumored every year to be in it, and he never actually committed to it. But I totally understand, especially when you're pushing for a championship every year. Some of these players don't want to do it, and maybe it's as simple as moving that to the not the main event of the night. The 3-point contest honestly has become the thing that is like the most consistent from a watching perspective. So maybe you have that. Maybe you have more stars doing 3-point contests, and put the dunk contest second, the skills challenge first, your dunk contest, then your 3-point competition. It could be as simple as maneuvering it and not framing it as this is you're going to see something you've never seen before, because you never will probably again. You have your Vince Carters back in the day doing just about everything.
The one thing I totally missed from the All-Star weekend is I missed the skills challenge. Remember where when we were a bit younger, first they do a layup and then they go through those little poles and then they throw it into those hoops. They take the jump shot. That one was actually my most favorite out of all of them, other than like 3-point shooting. I mean, dunk contest is like everyone's favorite, but I think as people get older, people start shifting towards, okay, I like the 3-point contest, I like the dunk contest, or I like the skills challenge, or I like the one with the Harper family when they were competing. I thought that was also pretty cool. So now we got the All-Star weekend, and this wasn't part of the original agenda, but what is your view on the NBA right now? Because a lot of friends I've talked to, most of them are pretty much, all they do is just shoot 3-pointers, play no defense, no rebounds. So I just wanted to get your opinion on what do you think of the quality of the game of the NBA today?
I will say I totally hear the no defense part, and I think a lot of that's perception for the most part. The high scoring, I think 2026, this current season we're in, I think it's on pace for the fifth or sixth most high scoring points per game for every team of all time. So I think a lot of it is kind of that perception of there's too much scoring, not enough defense. I think on the flip side, I personally believe there's a lot more talent than there's ever been. Your worldwide stars come in. Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic, you have Wembanyama, you have young guys like people don't know him a lot in the national sphere, but like Tyrese Maxey, who's killing it in Philadelphia, Jaylen Brown's of the like. There's a lot of great talent out there, and I think there's more talent than ever. That's what I will say. And a lot of the perception is that there's no defense. And the last time the NBA went through this kind of framing where there was too much scoring, not enough defense, is when they were about to expand. And once they expanded, I think they were at that current time, it was kind of similar scoring of today's world. I think it was in the 80s. I can't remember exact date, but they were on pace for record scoring, and everyone was kind of disinterested with not enough defense, not enough effort. So once they expanded, that scoring went down dramatically. When you expand to one or even one team or two teams, you level out that talent a little bit, kill some depth across the league, and it changes the dynamics of how the night in, night out approach is when you have more teams in the mix. So it drastically brings down that scoring. I think once the NBA expands to Seattle and Vegas, you will see that scoring go from, let's say, 125 to 115 a night. You'll see that come down to like the lower hundreds or maybe even 90s, kind of like that 80s, 90s, and 2000s kind of basketball you saw. I think a lot of it's nostalgia a lot of the time when it comes to that conversation, but I personally love today's game. I think the effort is still there. It's just there's a lot of talent out there, and that's why it makes it look so easy.
I'll be on the opposite, which is fine. I mean, we need people. We definitely need people that say today's game is great, because if we don't have those fans that say today's game is great, then the NBA would be in much bigger trouble. But I mean, for me, for someone born in 92, I was exposed to Michael Jordan, even just as a 5-year-old kid. And I just hear the name Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing. And that's when personalities was much more, I think I saw a much more charismatic personality where they were not afraid to talk trash. So not only was it so much of the game being arguably more physical back then, it was that players were not afraid to get in each other's faces and trash talk. That I think that was also the element that people like. But now I think people these days, they just, I guess at most they would maybe just attack each other on the keyboard sometimes, like on Twitter, to make some drama out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But back then it was like in your face, like you'll have Charles Barkley and Scottie Pippen just going right in each other's faces, or MJ and Reggie Miller doing it, or Gary Payton and MJ. That's my most favorite one, where he was just annoying Michael Jordan to the point that every time he asked MJ about Gary Payton, he always kind of has that hesitation, or he might have that few seconds of, did you just have to ask that? So,
No, yeah.
so there is a
100%.
mixture. Yeah. So it is mostly because and don't get me wrong, I watch the NBA every single year. I think for some reason, just after 2016, and also a mixture of the fact that we don't know if we're getting a team, that's where it kind of just naturally drained. And I'll be honest, the only real attention I've given to the NBA is my fantasy basketball team, which I've been playing since 2012. So, and there's most times when I'm just adding players, I don't even look at their names. I just look at points per game, steals, and rebounds. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But I'm still heavily engaged with NBA, just not as much as I used to dating back to 2016, which, by the way, 2016 was, I call it the last great NBA season. That was the Stephen Curry 73-9 Warriors, Cavaliers storybook ending, Kobe, KG, and Tim Duncan on their retirement. So
that was a phenomenal season. I just remember, that was one of the years that unforgettable, all-time great season, and the ending couldn't have been better. I don't know if I've mentioned this, but I ever since the Sonics left, I went to be a Celtics fan because Ray Allen went there, and kind of just followed him ever since. And I needed a team to follow. Sonics were always number one, but I've been following the Celtics ever since. And I was a hater of LeBron that year, 2016. I'm like, he's gonna get destroyed, 3-1, no way. And then when it got to 3-2, I'm like, you know what? This one time I'm gonna root for him, and he pulled it off, and I think that whole series solidified a lot of things. Like that was such a great season. I have so many great memories of that year overall.
If we were friends back then, we would have been mortal rivals, because I was a fan of the Cleveland Cavaliers because of OG LeBron James after the Sonics left. So we definitely would have had some go at it each other, me saying go Cavs, you saying go Celtics, and you probably would have, when LeBron kind of had that, they call it the quit game 5, you definitely may have said, do you think he's going to stay? I think that was his last game. I think maybe, it would have been fun back then, but hey, social media wasn't that big. I didn't know enough people, so it is what it is, but who knows? That could have been fun, but past is past.
Yeah, one thing's always been consistent. I've always hated the Lakers. So there's at least that. There's been a Laker hate in my heart ever since I was even a little kid as a Sonics fan. So Sonics,
Shaq and Kobe started that for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, now before I wanted to get into the whole tanking issue, but that's not what Sonics fans are here for. We gotta touch on the whole Adam Silver updates, which I believe was, not saying it was a complete 180 from his whole Europe talk, but it's definitely better than what we have seen even in the past month. And it's kind of funny that it kind of happened like right at the same time the Seahawks went to the Super Bowl, and then you have Adam Silver saying, "Oh, hey, we might actually have a decision on expansion. We might actually talk about it." But just recently, in case of nobody knew, but Sonics, Rain City Pride, and myself, we actually did take the time to go on NBA TV to take a look and see what Adam Silver said. And there was one question. Someone did bring up expansion, and I'll just paraphrase on what Chris Daniels does. And by the way, shout out to him. He's been doing this whole Sonics thing since before they even left, to the point that he lives rent-free in David Stern's head sometimes. But here's what it was said. So NBA Commissioner Adam Silver says that at March Board of Governors meeting, we won't be voting at the March meeting, which I did expect him to say, but we will likely come out of those meetings ready, prepared to take a next step in terms of potentially talking to interested parties. The other tweet after that was, Silver also confirmed the league does not need to have a 2-team expansion, and relocation is not on the table. So what were your thoughts on that when he said all of that stuff?
I think a lot of, and I go back to the Europe thing you just mentioned. I think a lot of that, from the very beginning, I was kind of irked, like many people were, about the Europe talk, and it's like just bring it internally. You have to expand internally. You did it wrong in Seattle 2 decades plus ago, so or just come in and bring the Sonics back. So when I heard all the Europe talk, I was kind of pushed it aside. I'm like, they can focus on two things at once. So I stayed. Maybe it's my optimism in me. I stayed focused. I'm like this. I still think they're gonna. This is gonna be the year. In December, I'll go back even further. December before December 2025 is when Adam Silver and the NBA officially said that they're going to make a decision on expansion in 2026. My brain, as it works, optimistic. I thought July. I thought July is the official announcement, and the All-Star break kind of press conference, as we just heard. A lot of it was kind of exactly what I was hoping for, and it came to fruition. A lot of people in my comment section and a lot of people I've been talking to have been saying it's kind of the same old, but I will say a full stop is not anywhere close to what we've been hearing from the NBA for a long time. What we've been hearing for years and years is we're looking at it, we're thinking about expansion. It's definitely on the table. Now we see Adam Silver basically come out and say they're going to come out of the March meetings and say they're going to take the next steps. They're going to look to next steps, and they're talking about ownership parties and interested groups. And I think the other important note is the relocation part. I know myself included, I never took relocation off the table. And I think Adam Silver explicitly saying relocation is not an option just solidified that expansion's their full force ahead on it. Brian Windhorst tweeted and reported earlier in the week that they may not say it in this specific March meeting or this specific All-Star press conference, but they're going to say that they're putting the steps towards expansion. They're not going to announce it, but they're going to basically take those steps. And I think a lot of that is it's exciting. And I think a lot of people should be excited cautiously. As we know, Sonics fans, we are always going to see the pessimistic side of it from a fan base perspective because we've been slapped across the face basically so many times by the NBA, whether it's David Stern or Adam Silver. So I think it's super exciting. I think it's definitely leading up to a summertime of excitement. I'm not going to say for sure. It's never for sure with us, but I think it's been closer than ever.
Well, unfortunately, I will be on the I'm more on the pessimistic, but you know what? If you're positive, I'm negative, maybe we'll offset each other, but it's only because I just happen to remember 2008. That was a tough day for me. There was 2013 Sacramento where it didn't happen. And even my aunt who lives in Sacramento thinks that we should have taken the team because she couldn't, I guess her and the family couldn't stand, Sacramento, whatever they're doing with the team right now, it's just really sad to watch. Like, I actually do feel bad. And then there was 2016 when the Soto Arena did not work out. And then after that vote, it just turned into a huge political mess where they tried to say Sonics fans are, let's just say, mean to politicians, and that also did me a huge number on being positive about the whole thing. But I guess ironically, since Oklahoma won the championship, it kind of brought me back into it. But I'm still going into this like I had a huge amount of fear with the Super Bowl and playing the Rams and the Mariners throughout the Tigers. So that's where I'm at, just on the I'm not saying hopeless, but I'm kind of like, okay, let's hope that this works out kind of feeling.
Yeah, I think that resonates a lot with, again, majority of the people I've been talking to. So, and that's kind of when I'm on the optimistic side and talking about how excited things are. And I always make sure to preface it that this is never guaranteed. We always wait for that official announcement. All I can do personally from a social media perspective is just report on what's going on and say what's between the lines. And a lot of the comments, majority of them are like, we don't care until they're back type of thing. And I totally understand that narrative. And I feel that same sentiment every single day. But when I am looking at it and trying to get that positive side out of it, and I think it's been easier this year, I'll say that, than previous years to kind of look at that positive side compared to previous years where they talk about, yeah, we'll look at it, we'll look into it. Now it's like we're looking at taking next steps. That's where I see is the big shift. And it aligns with a lot of the big NBA insiders, which we've never heard Woj back in the day, or Sham Sharania now, Brian Windhorst, all these top insiders are talking about expansion, which they never have before.
Yeah, it's definitely better. That's why. I mean, it's easy for the fans to say, yeah, who cares, blah, blah. But that was because they were so used to just not hearing updates like this. So everything's coming in like it's an absolute shock. So yeah, there's definitely reasons to be optimistic. But of course, if fans want to remain pessimistic or at least cautiously optimistic, you know what? You can talk to me about it on the YouTube channel, Instagram, anything. Same with Sonics RCP. Personally, if anyone wants to say we're never getting a team back, forget about it. You know what? If it makes you feel better to let that out of your system, go for it.
Bring it in. Yeah, exactly.
Bring it in. Just don't spam stupid links on how to make $10,000 while going into the toilet. That's all I ask personally.
I'm deleting that comment if I see it, so don't even try it.
Fair enough. I would too. But reasons why I'm kind of nervous, are more like very nervous, is we've also seen the opposition. We've seen James Dolan come out and say he doesn't want expansion, but then again, he doesn't really want any kind of change. And the only thing I hope is that no one listens to him, because he is the same guy that provoked Charles Oakley to fight him in Madison Square Garden, and I guess he didn't necessarily let people know that Patrick Ewing was walking around in Madison Square Garden as the coach for Georgetown in 21 when he wasn't showing his Madison Square Garden passes. But I don't know, that's a different issue. But he also ran the Knicks to the ground too, and he also oversaw a lot of scandals between Stephon Marbury and Isaiah Thomas. So my hope is, no, everyone just kind of like, yeah, whatever, you can vote no, but hopefully the other 29 say yes. And I think someday I'm either going to make a post or a video saying who would be the 23 or 24 to say yes. But I can totally see Dolan's already a no. And then we also have to look at maybe like the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Pelicans. Maybe they'll be proponents because they want to get into the Eastern Conference rather than playing in the Western Conference. So there are teams that may support that idea, and who knows, there's going to be some that will just say no completely. So
yeah,
the only thing we can look forward to is March. We'll get updates out of that, and then see what happens for July. And hopefully and hey, you never know too. In the press conference for the NBA Finals, maybe Adam Silver said something that there is some kind of optimism. So you never know, but lots of stuff to follow until March and July.
Yeah, and like you said, there's James Dolan. There's going to be that kind of opposition. And while if one or two of them, or even five of them, if they want to make a coalition and we're going to say no against this, we only need 23 votes, 24. So I think you have that in the bag. You have talks in Dallas of Mark Cuban maybe wants to get back into the mix of ownership over there. So there's a lot of people out there, like you said, Memphis, you have New Orleans, and a lot of people that may be at risk of relocation may want to just say yes so they don't have that risk of getting stolen by another market like Seattle, market like Vegas. So you have your teams that are potential relocation options are going to vote yes. Your Blazers are going to vote yes, as we know. So I think there's a lot of people out there in the ownership groups that are going to say yes to this specifically. I think they don't hold a vote unless there is a confirmed majority interest. So I think that's the positive look I have on it. They wouldn't waste their time voting on something that's not going to pass. And I think that's just historically how it's worked with the NBA. It's not like a rule change where like, is it travel 3 steps or 4 steps? It's like this is a big league-wide decision, and they won't hold that vote unless they have the numbers to go forward.
Yeah, and I do like your points that there's other teams like you said, Mark Cuban, the Blazers, because they're pretty much our home. I can say maybe the Lakers will support because they at least supported Sacramento's relocation before, but those were the only two teams that were well noted. Steve Ballmer will say, "Hey, sorry, I couldn't get your Key Arena remodeled. I couldn't get you the Kings. So Seattle did start my career, so here's a yes vote.
Yeah,
Because
there's a lot of those out there. I think Seattle has a lot of, especially for a lot of these older owners. You got to remember, a lot of these guys are older, and a lot of nostalgia is going to hit them that they want the Sonics back too. And if it comes with the what $500-600 million paycheck on top of that, I think a lot of them will just say yes. And I don't think a Dolan vote or a couple, 3 or 4 other swing votes are going to toss that $500 million paycheck aside for these. Well, it's all about money at the end of the day for these owners. So what makes them the most money? They may have to distribute the pie to 2 more pieces for the TV deals and everything, but they get that fat paycheck just for saying yes. So there's that part of it too.
And in case anyone's worried about like competitive advantage or competitive disadvantage, my advice to you, to the NBA owner that's so concerned about that, how about run your team a little bit better?
Yeah.
Let's not make those excuses, because there is talent out there where, let's say, San Antonio Spurs, they got Manu Ginobili out of nowhere when he was a 2nd-round pick. There has been successful NBA players that were not relied on like free agency or like a top 10 pick. They've got some of the best players on 2nd rounds. Nikola Jokic, Denver Nuggets, he was a 2nd-round pick. Draymond Green, 2nd-round pick, was an instrumental part of the Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson core. So yeah, that's one advice I do have on those NBA owners that are concerned about competitiveness concerns.
100%. You look at the Orlando Magic right now; they're a top 3 team in the Eastern Conference. Again, the Eastern Conference is weaker, but they have a lot of young talent. Paulo Banchero, Seattle's very own. There's a lot of talent out there that you just got to invest in your scouts. I think that's the biggest thing a lot of these NBA owners don't get is they look at the top 3 picks and they don't look at anything else outside of that. What fits your team best? And that's what I got to say to specifically the ownership groups and people that are just trying to tank every year.
Yeah, which I think that's a smooth transition where the NBA does have a tanking problem, and it seems to get even worse because, for example, Dallas, they were kind of at least somewhat competitive team who had just went to the NBA Finals, trade away Luka Doncic for glass knees Anthony Davis. No offense, by the way. Shouldn't have said that, but it's the unfortunate facts and the truth.
Right.
But yep. And then they get the number 1 pick. And my take on it, I think I might be able to tackle why the tanking is such a problem. So back before 2018, if you wanted to have like a really good shot for a number 1 pick, you had to be the 4 worst teams in the NBA. Like if you were the worst team possible, your worst case scenario was pick number 4. But then in 2019, they weighted it so the middling teams, like the middle of the pack teams, they now almost have a better chance at getting a number 1 pick than they did before. So to that, and we have seen teams just completely jump from like 8-1, like more frequently, like back in like 2011 when the Cavaliers pick out of the Clippers went from like 8-1. No one expected that. Like that was a rare thing. And now today it's like a little bit more frequent. So I think the first way to fix that problem is to bring the lottery format to pre-2019 when I think it was a bit more fair where so that way, I think in some ways, I think what they're doing today has actually caused more tanking because if there's a team that's like what 30-30 or whatever, not 30-30, if they're like 15 and like 16, they're just going to give up and say, okay, we're tanking. Oh, you're not playing the 4th quarter. So those middling teams are now going to make the league look bad when they actually are somewhat competitive. So I don't think like finding a team is going to fix it. I think it's just the format that needs to be fixed. But that's my take on the tanking. And I'm one of those people where if there is like a generational talent, I am unfortunately one of those fools that says, you know what, if we are one of the worst teams in the NBA, I'm not going to fault them for it.
Yeah, exactly. Tanking is, I think, throughout sports is something that every commissioner, every league goes through, whether it's something they solve or you can only minimize it so much. You look at a couple seasons ago, Victor Wembanyama was the guy coming out, and Spurs, like everyone was tanking for Wembanyama. Everyone was tanking for Cooper Flags, and especially in the more recent years. So, and somehow or another, the Mavericks jumped what 10 spots to get Cooper Flag after trading Luka Doncic away, which conspiracy theories aside, I think tanking is always going to be a thing. And I don't know an answer to it, and I don't know how you can really like to solve it from a commissioner standpoint. You can try fixing the lottery so many times, which only works sometimes, but you have to focus on roster management, and I think that's the only way you do it. Is you saw Adam Silver last week finding teams for roster management. If there's reasonable cause to believe they're sitting players for tanking and to lose games, and these are fat fines. I think it was the Kings was $500,000 fine. So it's not like a slap on the wrist. These things they impact the ownership group especially. So it's a tricky situation, and I know there's been formats that have been thrown out there. I think the PWHL does it where once you've been eliminated from the playoffs, every game after that is basically a point for the lottery system. So if you win those games, you get to get more points in the lottery system. Don't quote me on that exactly, but it's a way to incentivize winning, even if you're losing. If you're not in playoff contention, it gives you a better chance. Like, let's say you're the worst team in the league and you get eliminated first, you have more of a chance to rack up those points early on in the season compared to teams that just get eliminated at the very end. So there's many things you can do.
Yeah, exactly. And I think everyone should know that tanking is not going to guarantee anything. Like, if you tank for 5 years straight, it's not necessarily going to work. Like, we saw that with the 76ers where they literally tanked for 5 years straight, and it kind of worked out, but it also kind of didn't. But it also depends how you manage the team. Like, the team that I think did it perfectly was the Oklahoma City Thunder. They tanked it perfectly because not only did they get the assets back, they actually made use of those players, and they knew how to draft. Like, if you're tanking but you're drafting busts every year, then of course tanking looks bad. But for Oklahoma, yes, I don't like to say it too much, but I do respect the heck out of Sam Presti. At least he knew how to trade, and that's a lesson to all NBA teams. Don't trade with Sam Presti. Just don't. Like, and the funny thing is, this is me going on a limb. Seattle has technically built 2 Oklahoma juggernauts. It was Seattle, Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook and Serge Ibaka was technically built on our soil. And then you had a Seattle guy named Steve Ballmer that signed off on that Paul George trade. So technically, I guess we have nothing to blame but ourselves for watching Oklahoma be Oklahoma.
Seattle's very own kind of put in the way for the OKC championship. But as long as we get a team back at this point, I just want a team back. OKC, I will still hate them till the day I die. And that first game, OKC versus Seattle, whenever it does happen, there might be some fights. If there's any OKC fans thinking about coming to Seattle for that game, I'd hold off for this time around because I don't want to say it gets violent, but you're not going to have a good time.
Well, I'll just say that the Oklahoma fans that I have interacted on my YouTube and social media, they've at least been nice to me. The only time that we were ever mean to each other was when Kevin Durant was on his contract year in 2016. And I was taunting them like, hey, he might leave. And then that was about it. And that's when the wound was a little bit more fresh. But now today, like, I actually talked to plenty of Oklahoma fans. They're actually pretty cool, the ones that I've met. There's always those little apples between the Sonics fans and the Oklahoma fans where they just take it way too far. Mm-hmm. So my role is going to be, I'm hopefully going to be the diplomatic one and be like, hey, it's just a game, guys. Like, it was all in the past. Let's just move on from it. Let's not make it so much let's not dwell too much. Like, and that's another thing I commended you too about after Oklahoma City won, we were like, yeah, it stinks, but we can't change the past, and dwelling about it and saying F. Clay Bennett, whatever, is not going to necessarily move us forward. And that's what we've all been doing. All 3 of us, you, me, and Iconic Sonics, all, by the way, backed by Brian Robinson. If you guys have heard of him, I'm sure every Sonics fan has. I mean, he backs us, so we're the ones to watch. And we are all saying, like, yeah, it sucks. We lost the team, but there is still things to look forward to as Sonics fans.
Yeah, I feel the same way of, like, I will still feel animosity towards that team, but it's not going to do anything, not going to give us any justice to just continue to rant on it when we have some real stuff going on here in the NBA that could lead to a team coming back to Seattle. And once they come back, you can have that kind of natural rivalry start. But much like the I-5 rivalry of the Blazers and Sonics, I think it'll be interesting to see how a lot of these fans come together, whether they didn't watch the NBA for 20 years or they rooted for the Blazers or the LeBron or they rooted for whoever. Like it'll be interesting to see how they all come back and where their rivalries really shift again. So it'll be a fun time, hopefully, once they come.
My bold prediction on this whole Oklahoma and Sonics rivalry, I think it will mostly be perpetuated by the media more than the fans themselves, because the fans today, like the younger fans we're going to get, like including my cousin, he wasn't even alive when the Sonics are around. So for people like him, they're not going to really mind too much of Oklahoma unless their moms and dads say, oh, yeah, those are the guys that took our team.
Yeah.
But I don't think enough people are, since there's just too many years past, I don't think there's going to be enough of that. But the media is going to do everything they can to blow it up. And
yeah,
I think that's going to be the only reason we're going to have some kind of a rivalry.
Yeah, I think it'll be, you have your older fans and some of your, I guess, I don't even know, but some of the people our age, it's seen them leave and they'll feel the animosity and the media will blow it up, like you said. But we'll see how the younger kind of audience and the younger fans, when they finally learn Seattle basketball, I guess, they haven't really known a world with Sonics basketball. So we'll see how they interpret all of this. I think that's the biggest question, is how the younger audience and fan base kind of invest in this team and the rivalries around it.
Well, until then, the only thing we can hope is the owners, the 23-24 owners, say yes to expansion. But now let's just say it's July. Expansion gets the green light. We have a buyer, which I think it is projected to be the Kraken ownership. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's the only group I can even think of.
Yep, the OBG group, I think, is kind of, in the Samantha Holloway, are kind of the figures around this whole thing. Kraken ownership group, they've been phenomenal for the Kraken. So I think they're the runners, the front runners. I don't think there's anybody. You can have some minority owners here and there. You may have like your Marshawn Lynch's buying into it and your other celebrities here and there. But I think the OBG group and that Samantha Holloway are going to be your top dogs.
Top dogs, especially when her father was minority owner of the Celtics. So there is an advantage there. But let's say this all happens. What is your first move that you would want the Sonics to make? Like the very first move?
I guess, first of all, it really starts on when they get here. Is it 2028? Is it 2029, 2030? I think regardless of how you look at it, what year it is, you bring Kevin Durant back. Whether that's he's still playing or he's in the front office space now. He's player development, GM, maybe not GM because he's a little, maybe not the most strategic guy you want on the front office, but some form or another needs to be in the Sonics organization. I think he's expressed interest in that as well. So bringing Kevin Durant back, ending his career how he started, or kind of starting his new chapter of his life, how he began in the NBA. So that's kind of my first and my wish as a Sonics fan.
Just like how we could see a LeBron storybook ending in Cleveland, because he could be a free agent. And why else did the Cavaliers trade for James Harden? Maybe to create one more super team to get the championship. And then LeBron says, peace out. That could happen now. My first move, and it's kind of has some evil in it, I want the Sonics to do whatever they can to hire Sam Presti back, because he was technically a GM of the Sonics back in the old days. What I want to see is maybe whoever they get in that expansion draft, they're like, okay, first round pick, let's trade him, first round pick.
Yeah.
That's my plan, because, hey, he built a championship team with Oklahoma. I would think that he could do the same thing for the Seattle Supersonics. So you want the Kevin Durant, I want Sam Presti. Maybe he does both. So
bring him in. Sam Presti was hired technically in Seattle. So bring him in, and he's built almost two championship teams if he would have won in 2012 against that LeBron team. But that he built two championship contending teams, and you can't ask for much more bringing him back in with one of the best owners in all of sports, or GM.
In the smallest market in the NBA, arguably, Oklahoma. So that, I hate to say it, he does deserve a heck of a lot of credit for doing that because a lot of fans complain that the big market teams are the advantage, but then yet you see a little team from Oklahoma, they are dominating
Yep.
the league, and I hate to say it, but I do respect it. I can't hate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And plus they always randomly give attention to Seattle fans anyway, so if anything, they're kind of doing us a favor. I know no one wants to agree with it, but that's just my interpretations.
Biggest gripe I have with Sam Presti is he works for Clay Bennett. But Sam Presti, I can separate the greatness of the general manager he is from, I guess, where he's doing it at, even then. So,
well, that's the first question. The next question is, who was your favorite Sonics player when we had the Sonics?
I grew up when the Sonics were just about to leave. So I kind of got into basketball right around 2003. And shortly after, when I was finally getting what the NBA was, all the players, and beginning to have favorites, my first game I ever went to actually was when I bought a Ray Allen jersey and saw Ray Allen live. And I think he dropped like 32 points that night. And I instantly just fell in love with Ray Allen. Your common answers, you have Gary Payton, Sean Kemp. You have so many great legends in Seattle. I think there's just I have a special place for Ray Allen, and like I said earlier, I became a Celtics fan because of that when they left, because Ray Allen was my go-to at that time, and I still have that. I think it's like a kid's small Ray Allen jersey sitting in my parents' closet somewhere. So I still have that memorabilia. I don't remember where it was, but that was my first kind of love of a basketball player.
My favorite player back then was Desmond Mason, which, by the way, we both got to meet him at the Lenny Wilkins event, and I did get to talk to him about one of my favorite plays I saw of him. But most of my reasonings of liking Desmond Mason, other than just watching the Sonics, was because when I used him in video games like NBA Live or other NBA games, I always used him on fast breaks, and he would make these windmill slams and 360s, so that got my attention. But ironically, I didn't really get into the Sonics until after the Ray Allen trade, when I actually started watching the stats and every single game. Because before that, it was just, oh, cool, we have Gary Payton. Oh, cool, we have Vin Baker. But I didn't really care back then. But ironically, that trade got me into it. And then when I looked up Desmond Mason, I was like, and I watched all his highlight reels, I was like, oh man, I missed all of that. So he became my favorite player.
He's got some dunks, man. The Sonics, they don't get enough credit for how much of like the dunking culture they brought in. Sean Kemp,
and
so many great dunkers in Seattle.
I know, and it's and 3-point artists too, like Freddie Brown from the old days.
Detlef
and
Schrempf.
You had Detlef Schrempf, Ray Allen, Rashard Lewis. Like we did a lot of things that kind of in some ways revolutionized the game of basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Now the final question is, what was your favorite Sonics moment as a fan?
Yeah, I like I said, I was super young. I think that what sticks out right away is that like 2005 series is like that playoff run with like the beating the Kings and then playing San Antonio. Ray Allen was, again, like Ray Allen, my favorite player at that time. Phenomenal playoff run he had. Obviously, you run into some of the greatest teams ever assembled with that Spurs team. But that's kind of where my favorite memories or moments are. If you're looking at like past before my time, before I had interest in basketball, before anything, it's hard to beat looking back at like highlights and memories and how people talk about it. That 96 Game 7 against the Jazz, going to the NBA Finals. Still to this day, best team, one of the best teams to never win a title. One of those moments that I wish I could have been a part of. Obviously, wasn't there, so I wasn't even in existence at that time. So that's kind of one of the moments I look to before my time.
My favorite moment, it's the same thing, the 2004-2005 season playoff run, and I had the privilege to actually watch in Key Arena Game 5 between the Sacramento Kings and the Seattle Supersonics, and who would have known that was going to be the last playoff victory in Sonics history? So before I knew it, I was actually I was had a huge part of Sonic's history. But my favorite highlights of that was watching Jerome James randomly go from like 4 points a game to like 15 points a game or something. And that's what famously got him the $30 million contract Isaiah Thomas gave him. And because not even the San Antonio series, it was the Kings series that got him that contract alone. So Sonics have done a lot of great things. They gave Jerome James lifetime living.
Yeah, it's insane. That team was a lot of fun, and it's bizarre that not even 3 years later is when the demise would be, considering how much fun and rampant the city was and about the Sonics from the 90s, and then there's some down years in the early 2000s to that 2005 season, 2004-2005 season. It's truly bizarre how things turned out, but there was a lot of great times, and hopefully some more great times to come.
Yeah, exactly. Like I remember when I was watching those games in reminiscence, because they're available on YouTube. Mike Breen, play-by-play guy, he was saying how loud that stadium really was back then. Like he would actually say it in the middle of the play-by-play, saying Sonics fans are really going after it. They're really loud. This is a very difficult place to play, and you know what? They did give San Antonio Spurs 6 games, and they were the eventual champions. They gave more of a fight than the run and gun Phoenix Suns did in the next series, the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, those I remember my father when I was growing up, he'd always talk about the Suns versus. He always hated the Suns. He hated Charles Barkley, those Charles Barkley and the Seattle Sonics battles. He said he could not stand Charles Barkley. And now he's grown up and with his commentating on CNC and ESPN now, he loves them. But that's kind of one of those funny things that he still has that absolute hate towards the Suns, which growing up as a fan who we didn't face the Suns that much outside of regular season games, and Ray Allen had that, I think, 40-something point game against them in the 2000s. But I didn't grow up hating them like he did. So it's very funny how different generations view different teams.
Yeah, it really is. Like, yeah, the 93 Western Conference Finals must have done him a number when they had like 60 plus free throws in game 7, because I guess they wanted Jordan versus Barkley, because I guess Gary Payton was too obscure known at the time, and Sean Kemp was just the dunker. But maybe if Gary Payton was a couple years older, then maybe things could have turned out, but I don't know.
Yeah, they missed their window. Like they were peaking at the wrong time, it felt like, but still one of the greatest teams to never win it, which something to be said about that at least. You ran into the greatest player of all time.
Yeah, I would go more into that 96 finals, but we're getting close to that.
Yeah.
Out of time, but we've got one more game. We've got that immaculate grid where so I'll just show the chart right now. It looks like this. So you just, between like, let's say the Bulls and the Heat, and by the way, I'll let you go first. You got Bulls and Heat, and you have to pick a player, and it's not necessarily pick like the player that you know, it's the player that not everyone else knows. So it has to be like some little name that no one remembers from back in the day or something.
Man, I can name one that came up right away, but it's not obscure enough. I think the one that popped up right away in my brain for Heat and Bulls is Dwayne Wade. I want to say, did Nate Robinson play for? I don't think he ever played for the Heat, so
can't tell you, but I know the answer.
Yeah, I don't know if I have anybody else on top of my head. The first person that popped into my brain was Dwayne.
You know, or do you know the other ones? Because if you don't, I'll do it myself just to give you some time to think of players.
Yeah, I don't. At this time, I don't think I do. It's funny because I've been watching the NBA since I was like 5. You'd think I know some of this. I don't remember a lot of the Bulls players since like the only Bulls team I can remember was when they had Kirk Heinrich. I don't know if he ever played for the Heat.
I don't remember either. But I mean, if you put Dwayne Wade, it's gonna be like 90-something% probably.
Yeah, that's the only guess I have at this point.
All right, let's just start with D Wade. Let's see how this goes. 56%. That's actually not as bad as we thought. I guess many Heat fans or people didn't know that he had a 1-year thing with Chicago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Got Cavaliers and Heat, Cavaliers Sixers, Cavaliers Hawks, Hawks and Bulls.
Hawks and Bulls. Oh man, the obvious one. I'm not even going to say it for the Heat and Cavaliers. I think everyone knows the first one that pops into your brain is LeBron, but that's the easiest possible answer. God, who played for the? I want to say. No, I don't. Isaiah Thomas never played for them either. The UW.
Our Isaiah Thomas, yeah.
He never played for the Heat. Man, I am very bad at these games. I will say that right now. So let's go with. I don't want to say LeBron. That's too easy. Think harder. Think harder. What about 76ers? Oh, let's go Jimmy Butler. Sixers and Bulls.
All right.
And I'm going like new gen. So if you want to take some of the next answers with the old gen, that's definitely.
Well, I was gonna do one on my own too.
Oh, okay. Let's do Hawks and Bulls. I want to say that this could be wrong, and I could be making a fool of myself. Did Kyle Korver play for both teams? So I'm going to go Kyle Korver. I don't know if he ever played for the Bulls.
He did. He was an all-star with the Hawks, and he played for the Bulls in 2010 and 11 on Derrick Rose's MVP season.
That's so crazy to me. I feel like he's one that went on so many teams. It's hard to keep track of.
He even went to the Cavaliers too. And he's already answered anyway. So
yeah, I was gonna say I was gonna put him there too because I know he played for the. I could have put him there. That would have been a lot easier answer than LeBron. LeBron. Sixers and Cavaliers. I don't know why I'm struggling with this Heat and Cavs one. It should be super easy.
I can't even think of one either.
And I hate using the easy answers. Let's go with. I'll just throw LeBron on there just so I can get my brain rolling something else. I hate doing it.
I'm gonna guess it's like 80-something, 40%. That's actually not bad.
Who else do people say? Again,
I would have said Zydrunas Ilgauskas. That could have gotten you like 10%.
Ilgauskas, that's a good one. That's one forgotten for me for sure.
LeBron kind of overshadowed him.
I don't even know if I know many 76ers turn Cavs or Cavs turn 76ers.
Yeah, I think it's really rare.
Trying to think of recent memory or like a journeyman.
I think I know one, but
yeah, you might have to help me out on that one.
All right, I'll give it to you. I don't know. The thing is, he never played, so I don't know if that's going to count. But I was going to say Andrew Bynum.
I think he did play a game or two for the Cavs. You are right. I remember when he signed with the Cavs back in the day.
Yeah, that was what was supposed to happen. They were hoping that would be his rebound career. Kyrie was going to get him going. Could have been a nice center if he had it right, but I guess he didn't. But you want the Andrew Bynum, or do you know?
I like the Andrew Bynum. I love the Andrew Bynum.
All right, let's see if it counts. It's got to count because he was at least traded to the Sixers. It doesn't count.
What?
He never played for the Sixers. That's why.
All right. That's so bizarre. All right. Anyway, I'm gonna go down to the Hawks and Cavs. I think there's a couple after. I think it's on my head. I think Larry Nance Jr. did, but I want to go to Jeff Teague. Jeff Teague did play for the Cavs, so I'm gonna go Jeff Teague.
Hope you're right. He never did. He was a Hawk.
I swear, I think he was on the bench. Maybe that's why. Dellavedova, maybe. That's so.
Try. Matthew Dellavedova. He never played for the Hawks.
Oh man,
it's a tough game. I know.
I'm very bad at these ones as well. One prominent Cav that it's not prominent at all. It's kind of one that I stuck in my brain a lot. I don't know. He never played with the I was going to say Tristan Thompson, but I don't think he ever played with the Hawks.
I wouldn't know either.
Joe Smith.
You want to try Joe Smith for Cavs and Hawks?
Yeah. That I feel like I'm just totally.
I'll put Joe Smith for the Sixers. I know he played for the Sixers and the Cavaliers.
There you go.
Oh, nice. Little do people know he was traded from Golden State in the 90s to play with Allen Iverson, and then he dipped and went to Minnesota, which was arguably the most controversial free agent signing in NBA history, where they gave him a 1-year minimum, and that's how the Timberwolves lost like 3 first-round picks. It's a really weird story. Yeah, he's throwback, all right. You have one more guess.
God, so Cavs, Hawks. All right, let's go back further. Let's look at the 90s, maybe 80s. What was his name? Something Williams. John Williams?
John Williams? John Williams from 87 to 95 or?
Yes, 87, 95. He played in the 90s.
No, didn't work.
Wow. I swear. I think he played for Cleveland. I don't know if he ever played for the Hawks. The Hawks, that's one franchise that, outside of Kyle Korver playing for about every single team in the league, I have no idea.
Yeah,
I didn't even get to the rebounds.
Nope. Well, I'm going to do mine.
You're gonna.
All right. This is probably, I hope, maybe not. Oh, I'm going to go with Thaddeus Young. Yeah, 1%.
That's a good one.
Let's see, Magic and Nets. Oh, this one. Courtney Lee.
I love Courtney Lee. Unrealistic love for him I had back in 2010s.
See, this is how much of a boomer NBA fan I am. I just happen to know too many things. All right, I think Raptors and Nets. Oh, I would say Vince Carter, but that's going to jack it up.
Raptors and Nets.
Magic and, oh, I got this one. Rafer Alston. I would say Tracy McGrady, but everyone knows that.
Yeah.
Rockets and, oh, I'm going to try Brad Miller. Oh, Brad Miller, I got him too.
There you go.
Minnesota and, Corey Brewer.
Yeah.
I would have known that. And then Nuggets and Orlando. I don't really have a lot of Orlando and Nuggets connections.
Yeah, I feel like that's total opposite franchises.
Yeah, they don't even seem like they would do a deal with each other. Rockets and Marcus Camby. Yep. Nets and screw this. I'm getting bored and lazy. You have to. And then Nuggets and Magic. No, it's not that.
I think I got one now.
Okay. Who would you have said? Because I got mine.
Aaron Gordon.
Yeah, it's too much for me. Al Harrington.
Way too much.
He would have been like 50%. And I got Denver and the Raptors, which I don't really know. That's a tough one. I can't even think of all-stars either. Because you don't really see Nuggets and Raptors making a deal with each other or anything.
I'm trying to think of like maybe old career, last leg of their career. Maybe they went to that team for like because what the heck kind of situation. Melo never played for the Raptors.
No,
never did.
No, this one's a tough one.
And I'm very bad about looking things up, so I'm gonna use my brain here. But I don't think I have anybody. You probably got someone more than me.
I don't. But okay, I'm just gonna do this. NBA players, because I already got everything else pretty much.
There you
NBA players who played for Denver and Raptors. Bruce Brown, Marcus Camby, Chauncey Billups.
I guess, yeah. I think at the end of his career, he played for, was it? Yeah, Marcus Camby makes sense though.
Marcus Camby, but
I'm surprised 31% people said Bruce Brown. That seems like a high number.
Because that's the only three players that have done that combination. There's Keon Clark, Tracy Murray, some guy named Njai, Kevin Willis, Garth Joseph, and Alex, I can't even pronounce his name.
I will say, I always see these games online, and I never actually play them. I'm very bad at them. So I think now that I've done this real time, I'm going to be doing this every night. So next time I come on, I'll be hopefully a little bit better.
Yeah, hopefully by the time we do a video together, we better be complaining about who the Sonics should pick in the expansion draft, and I'm going to be complaining about why didn't we make this move, or why aren't we tanking for the #1 pick, or we're probably going to have a lot of hopefully by then we'll have conversations where it's to the point that we forgot we even lost the team.
No, yeah, exactly. I'll take an 0-82 season for 10 years over having no team. So
Exactly.
Bring him back, and after that, we can all complain about what Adam Silver is doing in the league or how you can fix the team and everything else. But I'd rather have that conversation than not have the conversation at all.
Exactly. Well, we have ran out of time. We actually went overtime because of the game. But Rain City Pride, thank you for being on this show. I'm sure that we'll be doing this in the long term. And again, hopefully it's because to actually talk Sonics basketball, not about stadium issues and not having a team or what the Board of Governors is going to do. So much politics that we've had to learn about over the last almost literally 20 years. Like right now, the Sonics leaving is like the period Sonics leaving. If it was a person, it would be graduating high school.
Yeah.
And it's old enough to drive.
It's so bizarre, and I feel like I've been saying the words Board of Governors for just about over a year now, nonstop. The next Board of Governors meeting is this time. The next Board of Governors, obviously we have March and July coming up, so hopefully there's some real news coming out of it. I expect them to say they're looking at next steps in March, and then hopefully an announcement in July. So hopefully then we can talk about what the timeline looks like, when's the draft, when's all this other stuff happening, when's tip-off. So I'm excited.
Exactly. Yep. Let's all remain excited, and everyone, thank you for being here, and also give Sonics RCP the follow. I will provide all of his links. It'll be a huge link tree in the description, and make sure to like and subscribe to my channel and his so that we can all grow together in the Sonics community. Thank you very much.